Mr. Schneider, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Kelly, and I want to thank Chairman Kelly and Ranking Member Thompson for holding this hearing on international tax and global competitiveness. I think it's important. I think it's also important to clear up some of the things that I believe I'm hearing said. For example, I believe my colleague just said prices are falling. Well, I will tell you my constituents home are not seeing prices falling. Prices of groceries are up. We just experienced it on Thanksgiving. Prices of housing are up. Prices for energy are up. And if you talk to anybody in this country right now, prices for healthcare are going through the roof. They're getting premium notices telling them their premiums for next year are not just going up a little bit, they're going up 100, 200%. Nationally, the average is 114%. In my district, it's at 78%. That's just unacceptable. Now, we're here to talk about taxes, and no one likes paying taxes, and that includes tariffs. They are a tax on the American people. But we have tax policy. The reason this is the oldest and first committee in our government is because we know that taxes are how we pay for what we want to do as a nation, as a society, and we work to find a way to do that. The policy we create on this committee matters, and the policy we create can create incentives, opportunities for economic growth, that create jobs, that provide wealth in the future for our children, but can also create disincentives. And the policies we make here drive the decisions people make at home. They make in their own pocketbooks at their kitchen table. But as we talk about international tax in particular, it's about business decisions. And it's business decisions large and small companies make that drive our economy. I heard earlier the conversation about inversions. Inversions aren't a new idea. They started really in 1983. And it's because of the policies created by the tax code that created the incentive for companies to move. These aren't business strategies that drove inversions. It was tax policies that drove the decisions to make inversions. And Congress made an effort to stop that. I wasn't here. It was the early 2000s. George Bush was the president that passed the laws in 2001, in 2003, and 2004 that created some stability and reduced the number of inversions, but there were loopholes in that bill. And the loopholes of the policies created by this committee in the early 2000s is what led to the inversions in the mid part of the 2000 and 2010s. This is where I get frustrated because there are things we agree. I think we all agree that inversions are bad. That's not a Republican-Democrat issue, and we can all work together. And I am glad that we took these steps to flip the switch and turn those inversions off. That's not good for the U.S. economy. Chairman Brady, thank you for leading that effort. I wish we had done it in a more bipartisan way. And why is that important? Well, Ms. Webb, you talked about your experience as a business operator, business owner. We need business owners, large and small, make their decisions. What will they need to succeed? They need a stable business environment. And that is affected by the political instability and the tax policy instability that is affecting American companies today. And that's why it's so frustrating. You talked about making a $150 million investment in South Carolina. In my district, a company made the decision to cancel a $100 million investment in my district with all that meant in construction and jobs on April 9th because of the tariff policy that President Trump announced. And I'm proud that that company is leading the charge, and it was at the Supreme Court trying to get those policies reversed because it's hurting small businesses. Tariff and tax policy belong starting in this committee. That's why it was set up that way, because we face our voters every 2 years. We're closest to our voters. We understand the issues in the district, and that's what matters. The stability that we need to provide to the American economy comes from having conversations that lift up small businesses, American workers, American families to make the decisions. But we need to do it in a fiscally responsible way. I realize I'm not going to ask a question. I got on a soapbox. But the deficit for the last 2 months of fiscal year 25 was $1.7 trillion for the last 2 months. That's not sustainable. And that was not because of the last administration. That's the policies this administration is taking. And manufacturing for the last 9 months has contracted in this country. The policies the administration is taking and the failure of our Congress under Speaker Johnson to take policies to lift up the economy means that we're losing jobs, we're shrinking manufacturing. If we're not making things in this country, we're not prepared for the future. So I appreciate that there's a desire to celebrate the bills that passed. Well, no one's happy with the OBB. they're feeling that pain. We should be talking in this committee about international tax, the need to get to a decision and a conclusion on Pillar 2 by the end of this year, and to work to level, Speaker Brady, you said, or Chairman Brady, you said it perfectly. We need to level the playing field so American companies, American workers, American families can compete. They can buy products that meet the needs for themselves and their families, and the American economy can grow in a way that leads the world as it should. I didn't mean to have a long speech, but I did. I yield back.